Hey, Necro Guide. Thanks for watching that intro. It's kind of weird for me to get my face on a YouTube video. I don't like doing that sort of shit, so if you're still here, thank you. I just wanted to go through a guide for necros. And to start, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things, right? So there's a massive meta shift happening now. I haven't even farmed the set pieces for Banquet. Banquet's the new set that you can get, and arguably it works best on Necromancer. Maybe like close contender with Wizard. I've seen what it does on Burn Beam and stuff like that, and it's very good for Wizard as well when you're using channeling spells and stuff. So what's going to happen? So there's a bunch of new legendary items. There's a bunch of new build paths that you can take. With all of this in mind, we really need to think about, like, without that push, with all these new items available to us, what we're going to do. And like, I think I'm quite certain the draw to all of this high DPS glass cannon sort of stuff is going to be massive. So necros, I still don't think many necros on our server. I'm playing on Oceanic. I don't think many necros are utilizing the class to its full extent. I mentioned before I played League of Legends. In League of Legends, I don't know if you could guess the class that I played. I played the support role. My mains in League were Alistar. That's a hard engage, like CC tank. Janna, which is like an enchantress, peeler, shielder, all that sort of stuff. Very fragile though, but like quite useful with shields. They can mitigate damage with shields and knock up and all that sort of stuff. And Lulu was another one of my mains. Again, similar to Janna, but more aggressive with like poke and damage and stuff like that. So I came from playing MOBAs with like background experience in playing a support class. And when I played beta, I tried a couple of other classes. I tried Monk, I tried all this sort of stuff. Monk wasn't anywhere near as bust as it is now. Monk's fucked now. But Necro, just like, it felt almost exactly the same for me as, like, it felt weirdly, like, it felt so cool because it was literally a mixture of Janna and Alistar. If you play League, you know what I'm talking about. But like, it's cool because you can shield. It's cool because you can engage. You can be kind of like off tank. You can be like a proper utility unit. Like this is what I think the class is. What I think the class should be. You be a utility unit. Ignore the build that I have on the screen right now. I just pulled this up to show you the set pieces and stuff. But yeah, so I play Necromancer like a support. I think it's best played this way. I'm still to see people really pop with the DPS builds that you can do. Like, my opinion is such that if you're gonna play a DPS unit, just play a DPS unit. Like, I mean, now they've opened the floor for Necro to be that, if you want to be that, but it's just, you really got to decide between whether you want to be like a DPS carry and a squishy paper, like someone that's going to get one shot, put it that way. Like, so the whole plan for this guide was to sort of just make people aware that you don't have to have massive resonance to be a problem with this class. Like, this class is arguably one of the best for utility in the game, if not the best, and it's so good to be able to play this class and compete with like people in the high, like, so we're in the first bracket. Why is that there? We're in the first bracket. We're playing against the biggest spenders on the server. Arguably the more skilled players. I don't know. I say that like reluctantly because I don't play in the other bracket, so I can't really see what's going on. But I feel like based on what I've learned, the first bracket were the people that reached legend in the game earliest. And the second bracket were the people that reach legend in PvP a little later. So it's just like experience advantage, I suppose. It's bad because the bracket that I'm in, half of the players have quit now. More than half of the players, like three quarters of the players have quit now. So the player pool now are just the people that have pretty heavily invested in the game, and people that have been doing it since the beginning. It's like quite tough. We have some really good, like, I love to see it. I love to see like lower res players just giving people with like fucking massive numbers a huge headache, playing support roles, right? Like, we all know what I'm talking about. We got that one dude on our server that's like literally a house deposit, like the equivalent to JT, but like on our server, and he almost has the same name. So yeah, like, it's a joke. This dude loses his shit when he can't win against like players that just CCing him and stuff like that. And the players that are doing that are players that oftentimes haven't spent like even a millionth of the money that he has in the game. So that's my point. It's not really so to capitalize on your damage, like, all playing Necromancer is not so to capitalize on your damage, but it's to be an assist bot, and it's to do it properly and to make plays and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, like, without further ado, the guide, right? So what I've been running since beta, and I hate that I've been doing it since beta, because I just haven't been able to. I've done everything. I've tried every like which way to do this, like, just to squeeze a bit more damage out, to squeeze a bit more survivability out, to do a bit of both, to drop some items, change some items, and do something with summons. I've tried to do it with Gloom. I've tried to do it with Barons. I've tried to do it with like I've tried to do it with Grace. I've tried to do it with every set, but I can't get away from this build, right? And most of the players that are playing Necromancer on my server are doing a variation of this build. I don't want to say that it's my build, because it's not, and it's not your build either, so don't say that it's yours. Never call a build your own. That's the thing that I like. It's like, it makes me sick. Like, if you're gonna say that it's yours, you don't know who did this shit first. Like, I've been doing this shit for a very, 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 very long time. People who were playing Necro when I was playing Necro coming out of beta were trying to use Golem and summons and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, not that it's not viable, but it's just like, it just doesn't work, man. Like, it doesn't work. It's not as good. Unfortunately, it's not as good. Like, you can do bone spirits, you can do damage skills, you can do all this sort of stuff, but like, part of this guide is just for me to help you understand that trying to play to a DPS role, you better have resonance behind you, or you're just gonna pale in comparison to someone else that can do it properly. Like, you should not always be looking at the highest DPS player on the team and being like, oh, what does he use? And then like, oh, okay, I'll just jack that. Like, I'll just do the same thing he's doing, and that'll be great. Like, dude, like, you remember this. You do not have the base stats. You do not have the resonance. You can't completely replicate what someone else is doing unless you built your gems the same way, your normal gems, your 5-star gems, your charms, your fucking keys to the sanctum, all that sort of shit. Like, it all matters. So yeah, your paragon tree. So like, that's the thing. Like, okay, so I'll just break down for you why I use the build that I use and what the items do. Okay, so and I'm torn because I know I'm going to try the new set. I haven't farmed it all properly yet. I won't settle for anything less than exceptionals, and I've crafted the pieces, but I don't want to drop the CR to use dog shit items basically, and I'll just keep farming until I get good ones. So to lay it out for you, in my opinion, best choice headpiece is this. No mouth face is the bone spike headpiece. We now have a new variation which does corpse lance. Corpse lance is awesome. I love seeing people use corpse lance. Not for me. I mean, I'll give it a go now with the stun on it. It might be better. But if you have high res, you have high damage and all that sort of stuff. Corpse Lance could be really nice. This one, but no mouth face, it ejects spikes from your unit. I always see people take the bleed helm, Hideous Dawning, it's called. It's the most commonly used bone spike helm in like CC Necro meta. Everyone loves it. It gives you an extra stack of bone spikes. It gives you a bleed when they hit. Like, it's cool. Like, it's really cool. I like it. I've used it with Grace. It's dope. Like, it's really good. Reasons why I opt away from that choice to this choice is that this helm ejects spikes from your target, right? From your target, not as a skill shot, not as something that you aim long range. So that's a downside, really. Like, it's a good thing that it has, that Hideous Dawning has the ability to aim it at a longer range. You can snipe people off the map. You can, like, from a very far distance. It's got quite a good range on it. 3 stacks is good, but if you play aggressively, if you play like an engage tank or like an engage support, you need to be able to jump into a situation that's really hairy and peel yourself out, right? And you can't, like, you can do that to an extent with Hideous Dawning, but it's just like, I imagine it's a little different on PC, but like, I'm playing on mobile, by the way. Having to aim a like skill shot spike in a circular radius when you're trying to engage on a group of enemies is kind of, there's situations where it can be kind of clumsy. Having them the arc out in a fat cone, like a huge cone, the radius on this thing, the radius on the no mouth face, at its widest point, clears like almost the whole lane, like where the idol is pushing, the width of almost the whole lane. So if people are trying to counter pressure the idol, if you're on attack side and you're pushing, and people are coming toward you to try and stop you pushing, you could, like, if they're coming in, if they're lined up across the whole lane, you're going to knock every player up, or most of them. You can angle yourself to put yourself in advantageous positions where you're behind people, next to people, and there could be 4 or 5 people. It's so much easier and so much more efficient to hit multiple targets with this helm than it is with Hideous Dawning. Albeit it has 2 stacks, so you're losing a stack, but that said, the efficiency that you get from using this piece is massive. Like, it's massive. You'll know what I mean when, like, if you play it, if you use it, and you it takes a while, like, not a while really, but like you get this, you just adapt to it and it becomes fluid, right? And like, you get a feel for anything. And I'm sure Hideous Dawning, you also get a feel for that too. Like, I've had a feel for that too. I played it with a Bone Spirit build, and like being on the run, running away, like, like using Wraith Form to exit situations, disengaging and stuff like that. You can sort of like, it's muscle memory. You just drag drop the spikes to where you want the spikes to go. But you have to also then predict where your target's going to be as they're following up, right? And which is like, it's just like, you can do it, but it's a little hairy. Whereas if you're exiting a situation with this, you're disengaging, someone's chasing after you, the prediction for you to eject spikes in a lot, like just straight in front of you, they're always going to be moving in the direction the spikes are leaving you. So the spikes are almost always going to hit. You can get to a healing potion. You drop a healing potion. You can wait till Wraith Form cooldown. You can gain a couple of seconds for Wraith Form to pop back up again while they're knocked up or they're slowed. The combo is such that you drop a pillar, you slow them, you knock them back with the spikes. You might drop another pillar. You got a few stacks of pillar. It's just really good for getting yourself out of situations, and very good for engaging in situations. Just like that's why I use it. It's good. It's really good, and not enough. It's not appreciated enough. People like idiots rot me and say like, oh yeah, you copy paste the build. You're using the same shit that you've used for ages. Yeah, I'd change it if it wasn't working. but it's working, like it's functioning, and it's functioning at like high rank, like high elo, I guess I'd call it, playing against the strongest players, and I can still play against them efficiently, and I can do quite well given the right tools. That's the downside, and I'll get to that. But yeah, so this is the choice for your headpiece. Chest piece, as always, like in my opinion, the most valuable item in the game, or one of them. It's certainly for Necromancer. You won't see any Necro build that doesn't incorporate this, or maybe you will now. The Corpse Explosion on Fear is going to be hectic. You could probably put the Corpse Explosion radius chest down here instead of this. You'll lose CC, but you'll become DPS unit. So I'll get to that. So yeah, no explanation needed. You can counter barbs, anything that tries to come towards you. With this on top of this, you have 5 stacks of hard CC. It's great to prevent people from coming into lane. Yeah, if you know how to use this properly, like half the games that I win, I'm not even winning on like KDA. Half the games that I'm winning based on placement of my pillars and just preventing people from coming onto idols, or preventing people from engaging in fights that I want my carries to stay alive. Like, you use it as a defensive tool. It's not there just for knockups. It's definitely not there just for knockups. And I don't see people doing this enough, where they're actually utilizing the pillar as a blockade. Like, we all know that it does that, but like, you got to be mindful in thinking, like, when you're playing, where are you going to put these like prevention points, like chokes, prior people coming on the idol, you pillar in front of yourself to block demon hunter shots, right? Or like, autos from range classes. You can literally play around your pillar like a blockade and avoid damage. It's a shield in essence, like the way that it works. It does so much. Like, it does fuckloads. You look at it and you just say, oh yeah, it knocks people up. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it does that, but it's actually such a good utility chess piece. Like, it's really, really good. And I'm going to have a really, really hard time dropping it, but it is what it is. We're going to see what happens with the new builds and stuff. The shoulders. Okay. Again, I get shot down sometimes for still using these. I just think if you've ever shot someone down for using these, you're an idiot, basically. Like, you're an idiot. These are amazing. And I should probably turn my Instagram notifications off, sorry. The most valuable thing about this is that not only does it prevent you from being knocked up, it also prevents any party member from being knocked up. You know how many classes have an effective way to knock you out of your position or knock you up? Many, all of them, nearly all of them now. Wizard has that little tornado thing that they pop you off the ground, but that no one really uses it. I know a couple of people that use it, but it's not but barbarians, like the strongest classes in the game. Monks can knock you up if they use that shit. It's not as common, but like, they still displace you. Barbs, Furious Charge knocks you out of position, knocks you up. Crusaders, Condemn, or whatever it is, like all of the like other necromancers that don't use these are getting clapped because I'm using these, and like, oh man, what build do you use? Like it's just to have this on, and not only on yourself when you're being a pest, but to have this on one of your hard carries that is doing you the justice of having the resonance to be able to actually get you through a game and win. You're going to play around those people, and those people, hopefully, if they know that you're not brain dead, they're going to play around you. I got an average relationship with. I'm working on it. I got an average relationship with people on the server for this sort of stuff, and I've got a really good relationship with a few of them. And the people that know how I play, I'm wising up to seeing that they're, even if we're not in a party together, they watch what I'm doing and then they follow me up, right? But if I can grant them CC immunity, how valuable that is to have on someone that's like able to one-shot like some of the biggest Krakens on the server, It's just really useful. You should always be taking bone armor if you're going to play a support role. Damage mitigation on top of mount bank, which is going to give you damage mitigation. Is like, that's what's making me hard to kill. Like, if you've ever played against me and you're like, oh yeah, why are you so hard to kill? It's so much harder to kill you than it is to other, like, just because people overlook damage mitigation. The longer you can stay alive, the longer you can spam CC, the longer you can keep your allies alive, the longer you can like stay on the field and win, prevent people from coming onto idle. Your whole job should be just to stay alive and not die. A good game for me looks like really low kills, no deaths, and like maybe 25 to 30 assists, plus 40 if I'm like going crazy, or I've just been given a ridiculous game. But it's all to do with drafting and stuff as well. Like, that's what I'm saying. Tools to work with. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. It's gotten better now. It's better than it was. Matchmaking balance is kind of, it's reso based, so you can see that they're trying to work on a way that they're going to make it even. So you might have 3 really strong players on one team, 3 really strong players on the other, and the filler is all mixed between, sort of 1 to 4k guys. And if one player has one 4k guy, the other team probably has like a 3k guy, a 2k guy. The 4k guy has a 1k guy, and it makes sense. I can see it. Like, it makes sense what they're doing. But like, that's the other thing that I'm going to get to, is like sort of why this is working, as opposed to like other players that are of a much higher resonance than myself that are having a really hard time now. Like, really hard time now, because and this happened to me for like the last 3 cycles, where like the game recognizes resonance, right, or like wings, whatever, and they're gonna pit you against, like, you could be a demon hunter, you could be a necromancer, you could be a wizard, you could be all of these soft classes that are just gonna get wiped. But if you've got enough res, then you're gonna be fighting against other players with that res that you may remain classless. You don't even know what they're going to be. You have no idea what you're going to be up against. If you're up against 3 hyper monks, which we all know how that goes, and then you've got a necromancer, a wizard, and a demon hunter on your team, forget about it. Fucking forget about it, because there's no way, like, if your necromancer plays incredibly, if you've got a couple of like low res barbs that are like just really smart and know what they're doing and stuff, maybe, but like the chances are fucking next to nothing. You don't have any frontline, you don't have any peel, you can't, like, necros can't play around the person that's sitting on the idle, that's playing. Like, you have no room to make plays. The carries just get dashed on and wiped. Gloom will kill you in one hit, like, if it's not the skill itself killing you in one hit. The game's not balanced. Everyone knows it. Like, the dude that I would call my best friend in this game is one of the like top tier monks on the server, and like I talk to him about this and he just laughs about it. He's like, dude, it's fucking stupid. Like, he knows it's stupid. You'll know it's stupid. Like, I can guarantee you all the other monks that are playing, like, sorry boys, much respect and everything, but like, I can see the good playing, but like, it's not earned because it's just too strong, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But yeah, like, these poor dudes that are playing carry classes. I just looked at the scoreboards a minute ago before I made this. Like, the necro that's really high res. I'm gonna try not to name names because it's just like a thing. The necro that's really high res, the demon hunter that's really high res, the other demon hunter that's really high res, the Chinese dude, it's like in the 20s. The win rate is in the 20s, 30s, and that happened to me before too. And it's because, like, that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter how strong your character is, the damage output you have, all that sort of stuff. If you don't have survivability, you are food, bro. You're food. You're going to be food. And it doesn't matter how much damage they throw at you. If you don't stay alive to use it, you're food. You're going to be food. So that's the whole reason. Again, damage mitigation is like just top priority. These shoulders are really good for that. You can help your teammates with that. Yeah, that's my rant. Stay alive. Continue to do what you're there to do. Support the team, CC the enemy targets, prevent push, all that good stuff. And for pants, again, another staple. They've just come out with Dash Fear Pant. Haven't found it yet. Again, all the new stuff just came out, so I haven't farmed. I should be farming. I'm making this video probably, again, at the worst time that I could be making this video, but I just got to get it out for the people that are actually asking me about this sort of stuff. There's been people. I don't know how I'm going to give this up. I do not know how I'm going to give this up. The Dash Pants sound amazing, and they open the door to Gloom Set, which, like, I've played with Gloom Set before, and the Dash Pants that we've already had with no fear on them. And I played in the lower bracket with that, and I've got a YouTube video up in my channel that's got barely any views, and it was disgusting. Like, I had nothing behind me, and I went in as a necromancer, and I was just like, but then again, lower bracket, so you don't expect people to be really, really high res or anything like that. There was a really strong wizard on the team that ended up carrying, but it was impressive to see what Gloom could do on, like, Necro with Dash, and I know for sure that that's going to come out, and people will be on Necro just wiping people out. But is that Necro? I mean, that's the thing that we gotta know. Is the dash only to enemy targets, or is it going to be that you can use it and, like, prioritize to also use it as a dash to escape and stuff like that, or is it just going to jump to the nearest target? If that's the case, I'm not using it. If it's the case that you can use it to dash away as well, like you can with the wizard teleport pants that put you on the target, like, then that's cool. I expect that it will be the latter, but we'll see. But the reason that this is so great is you can make the most incredible plays with these pants. It's nutty, the things that you can do with these pants, the invulnerability, the fear to target. It's just so cool being able to wraith in, shield yourself, knock people up, right? Like, you can stun 5-6 people at a time. You proc chip. You do so much with it, and it's such a good source of escape. It's such a good source of engage. It's such a good source of just speed. Like, even in PvE, like, it's super good. This is just, like, almost, like, maybe even as much or more so as Exhum's the chest piece, which is not displaying the name because I transferred from Wizard. This is arguably even more valuable. So, really hard slots to replace. Like, once you, again, get a feel for, like, Wraith form and how these pants work, I don't think you're going to be able to give them up either, just because it's so good. And I'll talk about, like, how Wraith form works with set pieces in a minute, but yeah, on to the next one. This can go. This, like, main hand for Necro with this support build has always been like a just, yeah, I'll take it kind of thing. Like, we had that main hand before, the scythe thing that left a little effigy behind, and then when players got in range of it, it explodes. After an amount of time, it explodes, and it does, like, dog shit damage. It's useless. It's kind of good for the auto targeting. Sometimes people will, like, attack the clone rather than attacking you or your enemies. They'll just attack the thing that's closest. Just prioritize that the same way that sometimes you'll attack summons and they'll prioritize that. This I replaced the other one with just because it's cool for the slow. Slow is going to obviously proc damage to enemies suffering loss of control. Even partial loss of control still works with that proc. And it identifies invisible targets. So if wizards are using the helm that makes them invisible for an amount of time after they dash, or if demon hunters use that invisibility skill, and you wraith your little wraith procs, the spirits that haunt the nearby enemies, will actually follow the invisible target, and you'll identify where they are even if they're invisible. And that's huge. That's huge for demon hunters that know how to use their invisibility well. I've ended up in, better situations fighting against, like, WPS and Huntress and stuff with this, just because I know where they are, rather than, like, just having the effigy, which is just there on the ground, and it normally hits no one, because by the time people see you coming, they just get the fuck out of there. So, yep, this can go. The new main hand will give you a cooldown on Wraith Form. The cooldown on Wraith Form is what I'm going to use, likely. Just because even 1.5 seconds cooldown on a skill that's amazingly useful is going to be a big help. So, I'll probably swap this out, but it can go. It doesn't have to be this. But there's nothing else. If it's not this, if it's not the effigy one, and if it's not the Wraith Form, the new Wraith Form cooldown one, your options are quite limited. I'm going to be trying the Corpse Explosion damage main hand with the new shoulders, and that might be sick, but I'm not talking about the build that I'm doing later. I'm talking about the build that I'm doing now. So you can kind of wait up and see, like if you're doing the Corpse Explosion shoulders that just came out, they sound really good. I'm not knocking it, just you're going to lose this. And again, it kind of, it goes back on everything that I'm trying to explain, which is that you're a utility unit and you want to be able to shield people and prevent knock-up. Having it, the other option is the knock-up shoulders. Sorry to go back to this item. The other option that isn't this is the knock-up shoulders, and you'll almost certainly use that with the Hideous Dawning Helm that doesn't have a knock-up on it. I don't like it. I think it's a waste of two things. Again, the aiming for the Hideous Dawning, and then the shoulders losing the anti-knock-up is just, like, it's too... I mean, some people will swear by it, and that's cool, but, like, for me and playing the way that I play, it's just too much to pass up. And the shield, offhand. So, again, I've used this since day dot. They buffed it, which was cool. But the purpose for this is that if you're counter pressuring an idol that is moving and you've got pillars down, it's going to do ground damage. It's not direct to health dot, so it's not going to work with Banquet. Don't get that mixed up. What will work with Banquet will be the Dawning Helm. Again, back to the DPS route if you want to do that. It's going to be sick. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really good on high res. I've seen it effectively working on low res, but they were getting shit canned, and anytime that they're going to be into anyone that's it was a game that were like a averagely based res team against the hyper monks and the massive barbarians and even the demon hunters and stuff like that just do hard poke. It's going to be a nuisance, man. You're going to be getting clapped. Sorry. The shield. So once you ignite your pillars will burn for ground damage. What do they burn for? 2, 5, 8, 6 damage per second to nearby enemies. That sounds like nothing, and it isn't incredibly high, but if you're thinking about that's unbuffed damage, it reads like Gloom reads that it does X amount, but then when it's buffed through all the multipliers and stuff like that come on top of the actual reading of the number happen after the original number, right? So it's always stronger when you're actually playing, but the display damage seems a lot lower. Display damage for all your skills will always seem a lot lower than how it actually hits. To give you an example of this DPS, let's just find something to... Oh no, there's a bounty here, isn't there? Fuck me.
Anything I can offer you?
Okay. The pillar hit itself. Okay, so it's ticking at like 3.4, 3.7k without crits. If you multiply that by 3, yeah, 3.7, around there, and it'll crit for more. You multiply that by 3, you have 3 pillars, they're all burning at the same time. That's oppressive. That's oppressive. When you're trying to stand on an idol and push, that's why, and it's funny, I always end up in 1v1s with mid to 3k plus guys that are trying to push an idol in, and I'll go to defend it, or vice versa. I'll be pushing an idol in and they'll come to stop me, and they'll sit and I'll be like, you think about necromancers and they might know how I'm playing, and they're more of a tanky kind of guy, so they try and contest, and then they sit in the idol and they pause it, and then the pillars just melt them down slowly, and all the while they're getting hit with autos and getting hit with spikes and all this sort of other stuff. So they're good. They're really good. I really like it. You can use the Bone Spirit Shield as well. Then it kind of goes away from all the other things that kind of hook into the playstyle. But this is essential in my opinion at the moment. The new offhand's going to do a spray of Bone Spirits again. It could be cool, but you're going to have to drop something in your kit. Everyone opts to drop Bone Armor. Again, you're going to be more of a DPS kind of unit when you do that, or a hybrid unit when you do that. And my opinion is such that if you're going to do anything, just do one thing and do it properly. And fuck around and just like try and do shit half-assed. I think it will destroy the lower bracket. People in the lower bracket are going to get absolutely destroyed by necromancers. Sorry guys, you guys are going to have a hard time with necros. I know there's some cool new essences for like barb and all that sort of stuff, and that might be good too, but in the lower bracket where the resonance cap is, the average resonance is like lower, it's going to be really hard to stay alive through all the damage that this can do now. But to the higher res guys, you don't have to worry about necros with shields and as much CC and all that sort of stuff. They're going to be like paper, so don't be too scared, because dudes are going to die, and it's inevitable that everyone's going to be hyped on all this new stuff, so everyone's going to be giving it a go. I'd be just saying, just run at them and just wipe them out, because that's it. But yeah, the other, as a side note to this, your ticks on the ground damage proc ancestral properties. If you're using, what's it? We all use the lightning or the AoE stun that comes from your unit. I use the lightning because it actually procs on the target that hits you, and that can happen from a long way away. It's like Jolt proc. If you ever use Jolt on your stones, Jolt will immobilize your attacker, right? It shoots down a little like bolt of lightning and immobilizes the attacker. The same thing happens with the ancestral benefit, and that's why it was so broken, because and arguably why cursed gear is now such a thing. I think they just shadow nerfed the ancestral stuff because it was just, everyone was complaining about it, and it was strong. It was too strong when there's already so much damage and there's already so much CC and stuff like that. There's yet another form of CC, but this thing procced it. Also procced it. So I'll have my pillars down, they'll be burning, someone will be coming towards me, they'll just walk over a pillar that slows them, hits them a couple of times, and in those couple of hits there's often a chance that you're going to get hit by Jolt, you're going to get hit by the ancestral property that stuns you when ideal damage, or stuns you when it just works. So those are the items, best items in the slot in my opinion. I've always used them, and I'll be hard pressed to take them off. We'll see. I still think that this is going to be really useful, and my point is that with all this new stuff happening, if there's no support, there's only 2 support necros in our bracket at the moment, myself and this dude Ivor, and there's a bunch of other guys that are of a lower res and they're trying to do it, but everyone's got these weird variations and they've changed things and all this sort of stuff, and I just don't think it's really working. Doesn't seem like anything's really standing out to be better. The Bone Spirit skulls are just dumb on low res. They're just dumb. They're so slow. You can walk away from them. If you're not really high res, or you're not just kitted for crit, then you could have crit on all your stones, and you could have crit on all your stuff, and you could be running summons. I know the build. Shepherd set, full crit, run summons, use Bone Spirits. It's a low bracket build that will work over there, but playing into someone that you can't kill in 2 seconds is just gonna be, just gonna wipe you before you can do anything, and then you have no sources of peel. You don't have bone spikes, you have nothing else like that. All you have are pillars. When your pillars are done, you're wiped. Case closed. Sorry, it's not good. It's not as good. Certainly not in our bracket. I've tried it as well. I've tried a version of a summon build with gloom and stuff like that, and I just couldn't get it popping. I don't have the res. I'm 4K res, and I was doing this sort of stuff when I was like lower 3K res. So I could be trying it again soon, see what happens. But yeah, these are the items I would recommend if you want to play Necro as a support utility unit and be useful, even at a lower res. Yeah, like I mentioned before, like some of the stronger guys, not the monks because the monks have CC immunity, but like some of the strongest guys just can't contend with the CC. If you know how to use it properly, it doesn't matter how much resonance you have, you'll always be useful on the map, just because your skills work the way that they work. So that's that. Set pieces, they go hand in hand with the, again, playstyle. Mount bank, 4-piece, super strong. My pieces are okay, they're not incredibly good. With this set, you don't need them to be incredibly good. You just need the shield to proc. That's it, and it procs all the time. It absorbs damage based on the percent of your health. So if you have high H people, like that's what you'd be trying to do. You'd be trying to stack some rubies. You'd be taking the life nodes over like the potency nodes and like the resistance nodes. Like you want to still try and take as much potency as you can. Like, but I was sacrificing some of the other stats for like a high H people just so I could benefit as much as possible from mount bank, and it worked. Like it's good. Shield absorption gets increased to 33% of your maximum life at 4 pieces rather than 2. You move unhindered through enemies while this shield is active, right? That's massive too. I don't think people realize how useful this is. When you're moving around and you're unhindered, you are moving with the ability to recast Wraith form. So it kind of allows you to make some plays where you'd be getting like snapped up with other people in the way and all this sort of stuff. It just kind of gives you more like ease of passage when you're playing, which is kind of cool. And yeah, that's mount bank. 2-piece urge. Again, I don't know how I'm going to give this up. It's just so good for Wraith form. If you know, you know. Like Wraith form works on beneficial effects. So if you try and roll beneficial effect on your stones, I've got Jolt beneficial on almost all of my stones. I've just gone with like the highest rolls that I can get. So not all of them have beneficial. If they don't have beneficial, they're going to have cheat death in its place, or vice versa, or something else in its place. As a side note, if using Jolt has some of the best the best things to utilize on a Necro for playing this way. Almost all of the Jolt rolls will work to complement your playstyle if you're playing this way. Beneficial effects helps you. Cheat death chance is huge. Damage taken while suffering loss of control is massive. Damage taken from players reduced is massive. Like all 4 of those things, like so good to have, so essential to have. Cheat death gets really overlooked as well. Cheat death, it's amazing. And from the people that I've spoken to that are quite clued in on the game and just a little bit of kind of testing and stuff like that, I don't think that this has much of an ICD. So I think this can proc simultaneously. So if you die and then you cheat death, there's maybe a very, very short ICD, and then you get hit again. You still have the total cheat death percentage chance to stay alive afterwards. And that's huge. Like it's just to again make you that little bit extra like tanky or able to survive in these clutch situations where you really just can't die because you're trying to defend hard or trying to really like peel someone in a fight that you really just need to stay alive. So yeah, like use Jolt. There's other things you can use. You can use Barrier. Barrier is okay. I don't think that the benefits on the set are anywhere near as good as Jolt. They're just not as good. And immobilizing your enemy on top of already having massive potential to CC them is just huge. The Barrier set gives you another little shield. Like that's kind of cool, but like to walk away from all the other stuff that this set gives you, it's just not. I don't find that it's as good, but that's like the second choice that you could do. And then you can do some other sort of stuff with like damage to enemies suffering loss of control. That set and like that's again you'd mainly be kidding yourself to do a little bit of extra DPS. But let's face it, like you're not a demon hunter. You know, you're not going to be able to like hit people over and over and over again in a very short window. You'll do some good damage 100%, and especially again with Banquet and all the new stuff that's coming out, it might be like just slap in the face for me. I'll be like, just Necros will be doing so much damage. But I just think that you're going to be needing a support Necromancer when you make this switch. And if all the Necros do all the same thing all at the same time, our carries are going to have like next to no, well, they're not going to have as much support. Everyone will be dropping, potentially even dropping pillar. You know, they'll be dashing into situations where they'll die. They're going to be, you know, having no burn on the pillars if they have like, you just think it's going to change. It's going to change. And like the people that are playing really well, they're kind of like, oh yeah, cool, I got a Necro on the team, like that's great, Necro party, like all this sort of stuff. They're just going to be like, okay, well, now that player with the high res that was doing all the work to begin with doesn't have a fallback where you're going to come through and actually help them. You're going to just go in and like snake kills off them and like, cool, pat on the back, man, like you're going to have a couple of kills on the board, but like it's not going to, it's not, you're not thinking about if you're thinking about playing like that, I don't know whether you're thinking about the bigger picture. Some players are going to be able to do it and going to be really good at it because they're going to have really high res, and then they might be paired with other Necros and other little freeze wizards and stuff that do a really good job of supporting. But like if everyone does the same thing at the same time, you're gonna limit the player pool even more, especially in our bracket from support classes, which is what we fucking need. Like I played wizard, I switched to wizard not long ago, and I played an ice wizard, and I was bad. Like I don't know whether it was that I was really bad or whether it was that like I just remember thinking to myself when I was playing, I'm like, man, like I need a Necro to be doing initial engage so I can be like the secondary CC unit. Like, so when the Necro goes in, the Necro drops all the pillars, everyone's posted up in a spot, and then I drop my freeze and they all get clapped, right? But I didn't have that because I wasn't playing. Like the other Necro that we have is like wasn't really playing. I didn't play with them that often. But then there were games that I would, and I'd be like, it's such a crazy comparison because there'll be games where I'm just like bang, clean up, like got the tools that I need. I got a barb on the team that's good. I got one monk and I got a Necro or something. The freeze wizard just pops off. Like they can be way better, even better than necromancers. Like they do an even better job of necromancers to CC targets when they have the right tools. Necromancer does it really, really well and arguably needs less tools to do it. So you're a bit more versatile in the way that you can play. Whereas wizard, it's like there are a couple that do it like really, really well. We know who I'm talking about. The dude that the big guy is constantly complaining about, the dude that you just don't want to play against, and the dude that you just, in a game, you go for that guy. Like, you're not even going for the dudes with the wings, you're just going for the support that's making your carry's job much, much harder because they can't do what they need to do. So that's, again, what I'm saying is like the support meta, like the need for the support is real. Like when everyone drops this sort of stuff, then it's gonna be dicey. So yeah, I think I covered it pretty much with the set pieces, with the items, and why this is good. It's really long, this video. Holy smokes! I've just been sitting here talking to myself for this long. One other thing I will explain. If you're gonna do the new build, how did I have it? Okay, it's the closest thing that I had to it. The new build's gonna be just busted with damage. The corrosion on your autos or your attacks for 12 seconds, 3 seconds to the target. Like they're gonna take 39k unbuffed damage or whatever, 40k unbuffed damage or whatever it is. It's based on reso. It's gonna look something like this. Well, this is again before the new patch came out. It would have looked something like this. And this offhand slot, if the new bone spirits don't channel and they just eject straight away, they're not a channeling skill, This is open to change. This will probably change. This might be corpse explosion or something, like, you know, but these are the dot skills. They're the dot skills. They're the skills that are going to make the new set pop off. That's going to go hard. Like, that's going to do more damage because people are going to be just suffering corrosion and all this sort of stuff. Like, even that, like, that's going to do hard damage. Like, everything does damage. Everything, like, these two things have a really good way to proc the debuff to health. Like, that's going to be it, and it's going to be with Banquet. I'm now running a PvE build with 4 Grace, 2 Banquet, and it's been super fun. Like, it's been really good for clear speed. It's great. It's a good way to play, which is what I just had on before, just because I haven't farmed the whole Banquet set, but this also works. I'll just explain this very, very quickly. So, bleed, continual damage, chance for continual damage on burn on the shield. That just enhances the radius of the targets that get to bleed. Fire Golem, continual damage from the ground. It's ground damage, so this isn't going to work with the Banquet set, but it might work with Grace. I don't actually think it does because it's coming from a summon, to be completely honest, but it still complements the other 2 skills that you have that are doing the work, because continual damage on top of things that are already bleeding and burning is just good. So that's a really good option. But then taking this after the other patch before this one, we had the Poison Golem main hand come out, and that actually breaks armor. Everyone's probably used it by now. Break armor is super valuable. It's really good. It makes your whole party's damage increase. You want to use, like, through having that and then losing it, I was like, oh damn, this is actually not as good because I don't have armor break. I just took it on the chest because the orbiting spikes, flickering warmth, orbiting spikes is really good, but it doesn't have an armor break on it. If you're using flickering spikes, you'd use the poison golem, but then you wouldn't have the continual damage. So this is my way of basically having the armor break with the continual damage that the fire golem brings. With all of the grace sets stuff, it's gonna tick for additional damage 10k after you hit the enemy 5 times. 5 times getting hit by things that do continual damage happens like all the time. It's very regular. It's just really, really constant. So that's added sources of damage on top of the already massive like damage potential that you have just doing continual damage per second. So really good. And then this one, the Banquet 2-piece will still enhance the damage to targets suffering from the continual damage effect. So that's going to be the bleed and the burn. At the very least, big question mark on this. Not sure if it's going to work with that, even though the description actually says... I'm not a fucking genius, guys. Command Golem now summons a golem that continually burns all enemies instead of forcing them to attack it or stunning them. I don't think it works just because it's not direct to health dot. It's ground damage. I would say it's continual ground damage, like the barb burn that it doesn't. The Banquet set doesn't really work with. It's coming from the ground. It's not like a poison or something that actually affects your health pool. So if you get hit with the bleed helm, your life diminishes even when you're not getting hit. It's a tick like Seeping Bowl. Same thing with this burn one. Things get hit, they start dying due to the like innate damage that they've taken from the fire or the bleed to begin with. And then this is just, it needs to be there to be burning. You know what I mean? Ground damage needs to be there to be burning. It doesn't actually inflict a dot on the health of the target. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, there's so much more that I could talk about, so much more that I could say, but I really would love to talk about all the potential for Corpse Lance and all the new stuff that's coming. But this was literally just to outline why I play the way that I play with this build and why it's been so good, and what you should think about coming into the new meta shift with all these new items and all this stuff that you're going to be able to do. Do you want to do that? Like, do you want to cater to the damage class? You might want to. If you're high res, like,
I must wait,
absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do with it. If you're low res, hope you get some kills. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.